Hi guys, in this video, I'll be going over the session 3 of the first SAT practice test, no calculator portion, second part. If you guys haven't watched already, please be sure to check out the link to the part 1 of this video. And also, I have also linked to this test in the description below. Now, let's begin. Question 16. If t is greater than 0 and t squared minus 4 is equal to 0, what is the value of t? Go ahead, pause the video and try it yourself. The answer, t is equal to 2. To solve this question, we can solve t squared minus 4 equal to 0 for t. So the next step is plus 4 on both sides. Let's cancel. So we have t squared is equal to 4. And to solve for t, we take the square root of both sides. So t is equal to plus or minus 2. And we know from the question, t is greater than 0. So we know that t is equal to 2. Another way to solve this is if we look at this question, we notice that we can factor this. T squared minus 4 is same as rewriting as t to the second power minus 2 to the second power equal to 0. And we know that from the perfect square equation, when we have a squared minus b squared, this will factor into a plus b times a minus b. So in this case, we can factor it as t plus 2 times t minus 2 equal to 0. And the only time when this is 0 is if one of these is 0, right? Because anything times 0 will give us 0. So if this is 0 or this is 0. So let's solve for the first one. T plus 2 is equal to 0. So that's when t is equal to negative 2 or when t minus 2 is equal to 0. So that's when t is equal to positive 2, which is our answer because we know once again t is greater than 0 from the question. Question 17. A summer camp counselor wants to find a length x in feet across a lake as represented in the sketch above. The lengths represented by AB, EB, BD, and CD on the sketch were determined to be 180 feet, 1400 feet, 700 feet, and 800 feet respectively. Segments AC and DE intersect at B, and the angle AEB and the angle CDB have the same measurement. What is the value of x? Go ahead, pause the video and try to solve it. The answer is 1600. So this is a geometry problem. And whenever we have a geometry problem, it's easier to write down all the given information. So we know that the segment AB is 1800, and the segment EB is 1400, and the segment BD is 700, and the segment CD is 800. And we want to find what x is. So if you're looking at it, it seems like these two triangles are very similar to each other. So are they similar? And then to do so, remember when we have similar triangle, their three angle has to be in the same. So let's see if they are. So we know angle AEB is same as angle CDB. So we can just write here angle AEB is same as angle CDB. So let's write a sign here to indicate they're the same. And secondly, we know this angle here, they are also the same because they're what we call the vertical angle. They are composed of the two straight lines. So these two angles is the same, and these two angles, if we were to draw it, are also the same. Let's draw it here. And because in a triangle, all three of the angle in the triangle adds up to 180. So this angle here plus this angle plus this angle will add up at 180, same as this, and that. So we know that these two angles here is actually the same, right? Because this here plus this here plus here has to be 180. So let's write that in. So now we can surely say that these two triangles are similar because their angle is the same. And to solve for this value here, we can simply use proportion. Because what similar triangle mean is that these two triangles is basically share the same proportion to each other. So to do that, it's easier to rewrite the triangle so it's on the same orientation. So let's rewrite this. Angle EBA. So this is the one with the one shot, 2 dot. Here's the 3 dot. We know that this is 1400 and this is X. And on the smaller triangle, we have angle D with the 1, and the angle B, the 2 slash, and the angle C, the 3 slash. And we know that the length DB is 700. The length DC is 800. So we can simply set up our proportion where X over 1400 is the same proportion as the corresponding side. In this case, is the side opposite to this angle, the 2 slash. So we have 800 over the side here with the 3 slash, so 1400. So it's 700. And solve for X. So if you notice, X is 1600. Question 18. According to the system of equations above, what is the value of X? Go ahead, pause this video and try to solve it. The answer, X is equal to 7. When we have a system of equation with two variables, first, in this case, we can eliminate one variable, y, and then solve for x. And once we know what x is, we can plug it back into one of these equations and solve for y. But however, this question is only asking for x. So to solve for x, first we have to eliminate y. So how do we eliminate y? The first step is we want to make sure the coefficient in front of y is the same. So how do I make 2 on the first equation so that the coefficient is the same? So one thing you can do is multiply the top equation by 2. And remember, when you multiply the whole equation by 2, it gets distributed into each term. So let's rewrite that. So we have 2 plus x, which will give us 2x. And then we have 2 times 2y, which will give us plus 2y. And then we have 2 times negative 9, which will give us negative 18. And then the second equation is x plus 2y is equal to negative 25. And the next step is that we subtract the second equation from the first equation. So we have 2x minus x, which will give us x. And then we have 2y minus 2y, which will give us 0, as this will cancel out. And then we have negative 18 minus negative 25, which is just 7. And we are done. That is our answer. Question 19. In a right triangle, one angle measures x where sine of x is 4/5. What is the cosine of 90 minus x? Go ahead, pause the video and try it yourself. The answer is simply 4/5. To solve for this question, it is actually very simple if you know the cosine and sine complementary angle identity, which state that sine of x is equal to cosine of the complementary angle of x, which is 90 minus x. So because we know that sine of x is 4/5, so we know that that is the same as cosine of 90 minus x. So that's our answer. The second way to solve this question is by using trigonometry. So before we start it, let's review our basic fundamental, SOHCAHTOA. So we have sine So what this means, this is actually something that you have to memorize really, really well. So let's look at a right triangle. Remember, this only applies to a right triangle with an angle x here. And what that means is that because we know that all three angles of a right triangle add up to 180, and this is 90, so and this is x degree. So this is what we call the complementary angle, which is 90 minus x. So let's focus on x here. So what the SOHCAHTOA is telling us is that sine of x, remember, is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And we know that opposite side to the x angle is this side here. So let's call it O. And the hypotenuse is this, the side that's across from the right angle. That's the hypotenuse. So let's call it H. And cosine of x, remember, is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent is the side that's adjacent to the angle x. So we have A over H. And lastly, tangent of x is opposite over adjacent. So we have opposite over adjacent. So once we know that, let's look back into the problem. So we know that sine of x is equal to 4/5. So what that means is that the opposite is equal to 4 and the hypotenuse is equal to 5. So what that means is that if we want to solve for cosine of this angle here, remember in this case cosine of this angle, complementary angle, 90 minus x, remember that is the adjacent over hypotenuse. And we know that the adjacent, the side that's adjacent to this angle is this length here. And we know that that's 4. And the hypotenuse is the same, h. In here, in this case, is 5. So that is our answer. Question 20. If a is equal to 5 times square root of 2 and 2a is equal to square root of 2x, what is the value of x? Go ahead, pause the video and solve it. So the answer is x is equal to 100. All right, once again, there are multiple ways of solving for x in this case. And one of the ways that we can try is by plugging a into this equation and solve for x. So let's try that. So we have 2 times a, which we know is 5 times square root of 2. So we have 5 times square root of 2, which is equal to square root of 2x. And 2 times 5, so 2 times 5 is 10 times square root of 2. And here, instead of writing this whole square root, we can break it in half into saying square root of 2 times square root of x. So, and then we can divide both sides by square root of 2. So this cancel out, so cancel out. So next, we have 10 is equal to square root of x. And to solve for x, we can square both sides. So 100 is equal to x. That's our answer. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing and click the bell notification icon. And lastly, if you have any comment, suggestion, or feedback, please leave in the comment section below. Thank you once again.